Hi, my name is Yasmin Tarehi, and this is Gateways to Awakening, where we host one-on-one conversations with leading experts in wellness, well-being, consciousness, and spirituality. On today's episode, I sit down with Mariana Fresnedo, who's an engineer and passionate about quantum mechanics. And she was a true skeptic about all the mystical, kind of energetic worlds until she found spirituality, or like she says, that spirit found her through the bridge of science, quantum physics, and spirituality. She's also a hypnotherapist by the Healing Hypnosis Foundation, and she has a postgraduate degree in Bioneuroemotion at the Enric Corbera Institute. She's also a facilitator of the Work of Byron Katie, a method of self-inquiry and questioning beliefs. And I could go on and on. She's got a mindfulness meditation, facilitation license, and she's a speaker, and she's built this incredible platform called QuantumQuip, which offers tools, therapies, business workshops, and conferences. And she's the co-founder of Quantum Leap Training, a method of thought, emotion, inquiry, returning to balance, reprogramming the mind, and establishing the conscious observer. So welcome to the show, Mariana. I'm so excited to welcome you.
Well, thank you, Jasmine, for inviting me. It's such an honor to be here with you talking about all of the things that we already do behind the mics.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention that you are a leader in the Latin American ecosystem. So, you've got just a huge penetration in that market, and you're really helping so many people in Latin America and also in the US and in other countries and beyond. I know that you've recently launched a program in English. So actually, can you tell us, to kick it off, Mariana, why do you often talk about understanding your mind as an important skill set?
Well, because the mind will control you until you understand how to manage the mind and how to direct it in the way that works for you. The conscious you, your desires, what feels right, what feels according to integrity. So many of our programs and our limiting beliefs, they make us like sabotage what we want, or we sometimes feel that something is out of integrity or is not aligned to integrity, and we still do it because of fear and all of these very, very sophisticated control mechanisms. And those are not wrong. They have managed us to have a life like till today, but that also gets us blind. That will blinds us from, and we will fall into many of these traps. So once we understand all of these mechanisms and how we respond to stress, like all of this self-awareness and self-discovery is about, yeah, all of the positive and all of the talents, and that's amazing, of course. I'm a big fan of that, but we also need to look into, okay, how do I react when stress comes? What mechanisms activate when I feel wounded, or when I feel vulnerable, or when I'm avoiding conflict? All of that, it's also the mind, and all of that will trap us in a reality that we don't want. So why I what I always I'm training with my students is to understand the mind, so you can actually keep it out of the heart's way. So the heart can lead, and when you free the mind, then the heart expands. And when you lead life from the heart, it's a way more fulfilling life.
Hmm. I love that so much. And you have I don't know, like 30,000 students or something kind of wild, right? Like something on that range. I'm wondering, what are some of the common themes that keep emerging when it comes to the negative loop patterns that people have? Like, where are people most, stuck from what you've seen?
Yeah. It's actually 20,000, but it's big. It's big in for the Spanish speakers. I just launched my first class in English, so I'm new there. So we'll see. So what I've run into most of people's minds is the lack of this muscle to look at oneself. It's so easy to see someone else's faults, or someone else's patterns, or someone else's bad behaviors, right? It's so easy to correlate and to point out what's not working with another person. But the muscle to look at oneself and to look to our own patterns, it's what's most difficult to develop, because it requires a little bit of humility, like of humble or humility, to like, okay, no, I messed up, I made a mistake, this is wrong, and I'm continuing to do this, and it's just very destructive. So that self awareness, to be able to look at oneself, also comes with many gifts. Like it allows us to address or to know or to meet our inner resources. We do have many resources inside of us. We have unlimited creativity, and we have the power to choose, and we have the power to invest in thoughts, or we have the ability to transform, the alchemy of emotions. And we all know how to make all of this. We have some other people have talents to gather the complex and put it in a very simple way. Others can make art in the way they communicate. So the more that we know the world and how to communicate with that, the more powerful we're going to be when all of these negative loops come. Now, there's a lot of like mental vices, like procrastination, complaining, justification. We don't understand how our mental processes work, and we don't understand that everything is a relationship for the subconscious. Everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be food, or it can be money, or it can be a person, or it can be your partner, or it can be your job or your passion. All of that, it's a relationship. And all relationships are formed by a belief system and memory. And memory, it's what keeps the belief system alive. So when we get triggered, it reproduces that information, those thoughts, those emotions, those reactions, those behaviors, those patterns, and all of that together is a choice. So when we're driven by all of that mind, that those programs, and we're not aware what we are believing is true, and we don't process our memory in a constructive way, then we don't understand why are we reacting the way we are. So, and then all of the vices, right, which are like the repeated habits that we do that are not good enough for us, or they're not taking us where we want to go.
I was just very curious, like if we could ground this into an example, like what, let's say, for example, someone has, prosperity, or like what is it called? Beliefs about lack, like is in a lack mindset or a victim mindset. How would you, like, what's kind of maybe one thing that folks listening can like think about in their own world, wherever they have lack in their own world, and how they can shift away from that? Because you spoke about belief and memory and that trigger, that gets set off whenever we have this belief about self.
Yeah. So an example of this would be in the lack system of beliefs. I don't know. Let's say that you don't have any savings, but you're working hard. You have a job, and you sort of live by the payday, right? So you have to be very careful around money. And this belief system of lack, it will create the experience that it's never enough. Like there's always missing. There's not enough money or resources or possibilities or options or decisions. And I'm not saying, because I don't want this to sound very like privileged. Like, of course, there's many types of life, and actually, life is never fair. Like, I think it would be wonderful for all of us that life is always fair for all of us, but it's not, and life is not perfect. And in this belief system, actually, you know what? No, life is unfair, but life is always perfect, because we all need to go through many things that is actually what's going to wake up from all of this unconscious living, right? I think that was important. So an example would be, okay, so I live by the payday, I don't have savings, and then I don't know, like my car broke down, or my mom got sick, and I have to use like the money that I don't have to actually go pay, right, for that accident or that incident that just happened. So the mindset of lack is going to sound like something like this. I can't believe this happened. I don't have enough. I will never have enough. I'm stuck here. I don't know I don't know what to do. My life is ruined. I don't know how to get I don't know how to get past this. So all of those thoughts, they're forgetting what the inner resources that we do have. They're not recognizing that we have creativity, that maybe for a month we're going to be a little tight on money, but we can also create more money. Maybe not in the 9 to 5 job that you have, but maybe, I don't know, you can go sell cakes, right? Or you can help someone with their house. I don't know. There's many ways. But the moment that we believe through all of these thoughts, we actually experience the illusion that there's not enough and there's no possibilities left and that there's nothing that we can do about it. But if we know how to observe these thoughts, that mostly they're connected to a memory that's it. Like I'm going to go live under the bridge because I can't afford this. This is what I I face most in Latin America. Is like the bridge is like 1 month away. It's like a week away. It's like one incident away,
Wow.
and it's not true. Like it's not true. But we're suffering this living under the bridge experience, even though it's not happening. So we can stop these loops if we develop this self-awareness, the ability to self-reflect, self-inquiry, to be our own hugging container of difficult emotions, and of course difficult decisions, because of course it's difficult to not have money. It's like when I was struggling with money, and I don't know, these teachers would tell me, just think positive, and I'm like, well, no, I can't think positive. I don't know. I don't have anything to eat like tomorrow. What do you mean think positive? That was the hardest thing for me that I had to go through and like really unwind and undo all of my mindset to really understand the power of thought, and how one complaint is just wasting energy. You are wasting a resource that you can actually use it to create. So this requires pause and observe and practice, and pause and observe and practice, and pause and observe and inquiry if what you're actually believing is totally true. Is your life really ruined because, I don't know, you had to pay an incident? Is it
Right.
really true that you can't produce more money? Or you just haven't find how? But there is possibilities.
Mm, I love that so much. So let's actually do maybe a sample inquiry. Like how would you walk someone through this? Like let's say, like you said, the belief is like there's not enough, right? And we want to, like, would you encourage them to move towards the belief there's always enough? Like how would you kind of get
No,
them
no,
to
no.
work through it? Okay.
No, I don't tell people what to believe. I'm no one to tell people what to believe. Like
Okay.
I think that will never work, because we are going to we're going to action according to what we feel, never to what we think. The mind is so good to tell lies. And if our emotional state is way different, then we're going to follow the reactivity, right? Or actions in a more involuntary way. When stress comes, when all of these stressful emotions come, we're going to react for what we feel, never for what we think. So I actually don't tell people what to think, but I do. What I offer is a space of, okay, I understand why you believe that is not enough. You have a lot of evidence, right? You have memory. You've lived this many times. You've lived, I don't know, like a decade of like, I don't know, to struggle through struggle through struggle to the next struggle. So of course that you have reinforced that belief. And I'm not saying it's wrong or bad or that you should destroy it. No, I will just ask, like, is it working for you? Is it getting you somewhere that you would like? And of course, mostly everyone says no, because it really is not constructive. So okay, so let's go through a memory. Okay, fine. I had to pay this incident, and tell me all of the thoughts that you get, right? So all of these thoughts would be like, I'm not going to be able to get ahead from this. So that's a very strong affirmation. I am not going to be able to get ahead from this. So first of all, that thought is not living in the present. That's in the future. I'm not going to be able. So you are affirming something that has not happened as it's the only possibility and solution that there is. And that is not true. There's many possibilities, there's many things that we can do, but if you first decide what's going to happen about the future, then that's it, right? Like then the mind literally cancels the creativity, the long vision, where many possibilities are. So all of these thoughts, I go one by one, like questioning them. It's like, okay, is this happening? Is this in the past? Is this in the future? Is this absolutely true? Which is, I use a lot of the work of Byron Katie through all of this inquiry or investigation of all of these of all of these thoughts, and then of all of that. Well, what's in your control? Is it in your control what's going to happen in life? No, that will never be in your control. So it doesn't matter how much you want to control life or you want to control what's going to happen to you unexpectedly. Like no one has been able to control that. And that will also is going to create way more stress if you're trying to control what's not controllable, right? So we sort of start to accommodate what are the thoughts, and of course heavy emotions can emerge, and there's a different way to inquire emotions, which is a more mindful way to get in touch with the emotion and give it an expression. There's so many people, and of course I was there, I've been there, that I don't know, I've swallowed all of this shame in words and emotions. And the moment that there's a safe space for them to express, they will try to manifest. So for the emotional part, it's a different path. You don't question the emotion. The emotion is there, and we actually need to honor the emotion and to be present with the emotion and listen to the messages. All of the emotions have a very specific aha moment. They have a specific awareness for you to evolve to actually. It's like an intuitive guidance, as you know, and that emotion is very pure in the way it's directing you. It really needs you to go listen and to see it and to feel it. And so with all of these tools, we sort of start to accommodate all of these beliefs, and then we use the transformations, which is, okay, fine. So it's not, money's not enough. Okay, fine. Then we transform it like to myself. My thoughts about me are not enough. How is it true that you don't have enough thoughts, constructive thoughts, good thoughts, enough thoughts for you and to describe you and to connect with you and to connect with the resources that you have, which is creativity and power in choosing and being able to observe and to be present, right? Like to trust the power of your own presence. So we go through that, all of that journey.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So you said so many beautiful things. I want to double click on a couple things. First, you said, we feel and then we think, right? And so have you noticed that like that's sort of the flow of where the energy's going, that people have this kind of feeling state and then they create a story around it? Or are they sort of reacting to what's happening and then feeling, or is it both?
It's like what came first, the hen or the chicken or
Yes.
the egg, right? Uh,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't even think that. I mean, if you look for the answer, you're gonna find that it's both. First the emotion, then no, first the thought, and I don't. I think in this point, I think it's relevant because both are going to be present. So what does it matter if what came first? At the end, if you're reacting, I'm pretty sure you have a story in your mind that some of the story, some of it might not be true. The emotions are true, of course, but the emotions, the thoughts that come with the emotions, they're good to question them. I think there's, if the mind that doesn't get reflection, or that the mind that doesn't get like this investigation, it's the one that is destined to create suffering. So if you're feeling all of these emotions and you catch yourself that you're being very reactive, isn't it like important to go like investigate what we're thinking and the narrative that we're telling ourselves and the story that we're looking at, and how is that impacting our decisions? I think it is, right? Because it's the only way to, it's not the only way, but it's a good way to get out of victimhood and or this victim mentality, that in the victim mentality nothing will happen but just blaming the other person. Like there's no empowerment.
Right, right, right. Yeah, could not agree with you more. I feel like victimhood is sort of like this popular stance right now where like nobody wants to take any agency or, accountability for their own energy at the, even after a negative event. It's just like a lot of people sort of spend the rest of their lives sitting in like the story of what happened to them.
Yeah.
So Mariana, you also mentioned emotions, and I'm curious just the difference between emotions and feeling states, and like because you said emotions, and I may be paraphrasing you incorrectly, but you said that you will teach people to listen to the messages in the emotions, because I think that's something I don't think enough people give themselves the space, energy, and time to sort of sit in like the dominant emotions and just understand what's actually, what's the message in them. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, what your reflections are on that.
Well, no, because they're extremely uncomfortable. They're painful. Some emotions, like they will accelerate the heart so much that it will turn into panic, or you won't be able to breathe, or you will feel that something very bad is going to happen, or that you have no control, or you're going to start shaking or trembling, or you will want to hit someone. So, no, hard emotions or negative emotions are hard because they're very, very extremely uncomfortable, but they have to, because they if they were super pleasant, like we wouldn't move, we would not do anything. So, like uncomfort, it's a part of the process of evolving, and they actually pushes our attention, or the conscious observer that's inside us, to like look what's not sustainable anymore, what kinds of life, what agreements, what kind of interactions are not aligned to what's pro-life or to love. So yeah, emotions are hard, and all of these emotions they're just messengers. So they're really just bringing a message. It's like the in Latin America, this is very honest. This is very common. So and maybe also in your lineage too, Jasmine. You're gonna let me know. I'm pretty sure you have an aunt that she's very uncomfortable when she comes. She will show up with like no notice. She's just gonna show up, knock the door, and expect that you serve her, and that you attend, and you address her, and that you treat her like a queen. Right? In Latin America, that happens all the time. So so the aunt comes and is knocking there, is there. You try to avoid it. You try to like not see it, but she's there. And I know that we don't like them, and she's very uncomfortable, but she's actually here to bring you an awareness, to take consciousness, to be more consciousness. So why are you not opening the door? If you know that, yes, she's uncomfortable, but the problem is not the uncomfort. The uncomfort is something that you don't tolerate because you don't have the resilience for it. You have not had the training. You don't have the muscle for it, but you can develop that. The problem is never the uncomfort. The problem is that you're fighting the existence of that emotion. You're fighting the existence that your aunt just showed up, right? So
Mm.
every emotion will give you a couple of messages that are very, very specific. Example, when you're angry, anger will give you the message that, one, you don't know how to set boundaries. You don't have the tools to set boundaries. So you get angry because someone's trespassing a boundary, but it's not the other person's fault. It's our responsibility to know first our boundaries, and second, understand how to set them. A person who does not know your boundary, of course, is going to trespass it, and it's not their fault. It's our responsibility to let them know. Another thing, so anger is you don't even know your boundaries. Two, you don't know how to set boundaries. Or three, you're about to lose something that it's really important to you, that you have not either expressed it or um, taking care of it correctly. So that always puts us in a very like an explosive or a very reactive thing. Or I don't know, sadness is it's a knock on the door of like, hey, you forgot about you, where were you? Like you have not been connecting with you in so long. You completely erased you from your existence. You forgot about yourself. You are not aware of your needs. You are not aware of what you want. You are living not your life. You're living a life without you. So that's sadness. So, and like that, 3 to 4 very specific messages for every emotion. They're there to actually move you through a life that includes you, a life that you can thrive, a life that it's about you. And the more that it's about you, the better, because it's a one less person suffering in the world. And then you can actually go serve others, right? Because it's not It's, yes, we need to be good on our own, but then we need to actually serve the collective, because life is not only about an individual. It's about the all of the individuals summing together, like a sum up of all of us, and making the collective. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so great, Mariana. I love that you've named these emotions specifically and like talked about like what it like you really putting the onus back on the person to sort of take agency for their emotions. And like, how do you or I guess, what are some of the ways that you suggest people sit with their emotions? Do you, encourage them to sit and like set a timer? Do you encourage them to sort of sit and do it once a week? Like, how do you like encourage people to get started with building this muscle and building this kind of resiliency?
Yeah. So there's many ways. Of course, mindfulness for emotions is a very good tool. It's training for the attention to sit with the emotion and notice all of the uncomfort symptoms. Like, what does it do? It raises your voice. It raises your heart rate. It makes you tremble. It's one part of your body in pain. It's like if something is pulsing there, or like where's the tension? Like, to look for all of these sensations. So mindfulness for the emotions is very, very powerful. It's a great training. The more training you do to your attention, the more prepared you are for when all of these like uncomfort emotions come. And there's another practices like embodiment. All of the embodiment is to embody means to like to take form. So actually allow the emotion to take form, allow it to manifest. If you have swallowing everything that you want to yell, well, yell. Like, do like yell right now. Like many people that come to my trainings, I don't know, we're looking into a very painful memory, and all, I don't know, they were like 7, 10 years old, and all they want to do was scream. I'm like, okay, fine, it's coming here. The emotion is here right now because we're remembering. Scream, let it out. And they're like, no, how? And I'm like, well, mute yourself and scream. Like, fine, if I understand that you don't want us to hear you, but fine, mute, but you have to let it out. So you have like to embody is to allow it to take form, to be tangible, to be noticed, to be seen. Because only if it's seen, then we can open up to the discussion of like, okay, what do you want to tell me? What are you here? What are the messages for me to evolve or to take me somewhere else? So of course, tapping EFT, emotional freedom technique, is very good when you are where you are right in the emotion, right? When you are going through the pain of shame, where you're going right in the moment that when you have that panic attack, tapping is very good to get you out of there and to open up the mind to be actually at service to the body. The mind has to be the mind should be the server of the body, right? Because in the body there's the emotional part, there's the intuitive guidance, there's all of the creative impulse, which all of that, it's just another word for divinity or God or universe or mother, father, creator, energy, cosmic, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. So tapping EFT is also a very good one. There's also breathing for each type of emotion. So when you have one different emotion, if we only know how to breathe it and to breathe with it, it's a much easier to process the emotions. Emotions are not last more than 3 minutes within our system. The thing is that the mind comes in with the memory and starts repeating these loops, and then the complaining, and then the justification, and then the victim, and then the your blame, my blame, but I didn't do, and then all of more emotions. So all of that sort of ends up in like a 10-year trauma, right? And reprocessing the trauma or actually impacts our identity and what we can do. So learning these tools, what we can do to emotions, even breathing, it's extremely helpful.
Powerful. So, what's like an example of like the breath you would use for something like anger?
For anger, I use more the for sadness. I'm gonna tell you the one, it's sadness, because it's so nice, and it's I think every culture that's hearing this is going to be able to relate. So for sadness, when a mom holds a baby when it's crying, so it like puts it around the arms, and it starts to like shushing, like shh, 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 like that. So when you're sad, you sort of hug yourself through your elbows, and then you start hushing yourself. Shh, shh, shh. So you inhale, and in the exhale, you hush yourself. Shh,
Shh, shh, shh, shh, shh.
shh,
That's nice. I like that.
yeah. So that's one. And
So
then if
cool.
you have anxiety or like this panic attack that you can't talk anymore. So it's a 2-second inhale, 8 seconds through the mouth exhale. And it has to be very extremely slow. It's very hard when you're under the emotion because the emotion will, like all of the symptoms of the emotion will not let you, but you have to stay there, right? So 10 repetitions like this. Inhale in 2 through the nose very quickly. And then the exhale has to be 8 seconds, very slow through the mouth. So it actually has to like listen, like if you're, I don't know, like blowing through like a straw.
Mm,
And then
amazing.
inhale again, and then exhale in 8 seconds. Inhale, then exhale. That actually has been the one that serves every emotion. So if you're anger, if you have anxiety, if you have guilt, if you have shame, that type of breath is the one that's going to calm your system way more and put you in a more parasympathetic mode, that actually allows you to respond the whys of the whys of the whys. If you're under the emotion, you can't go through all of that inquiry.
Mm. Yeah, that's powerful. I love that. I love that there's like a mix of tools and techniques for this work. And, I want to also talk about, Mariana. I mean, you have so much kind of a rich palette of things to use for so many parts of this self-inquiry process and the emotional inquiry process. But I want to talk a little bit about your connection and collaboration with Bruce Lipton, who has, a big name in this space of consciousness in the United States. But I'm curious, like, how did your work with Bruce Lipton emerge?
Yeah. So, as you know, he's the father of epigenetics, or at least the modern epigenetics. Um, so he went to Mexico City around, I don't know, like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, and he basically explained through with science every doubt that I've had, because and he also explained what happened to me in quantum physics that happened to me during my training on the work of Byron Katie. This self inquiry technique that allows you to pause, observe, and question what you think, and to be the container of your emotions. So I'm an engineer, so I was extremely skeptical about all of this mystical, energetic, magic world of like, yeah, you think and believe. Like, no, none of that BS actually worked for me. Like every time that I tried to like ask anything for the universe, like that never happened. Like, or when I heard like these people open your heart, and I'm like, okay, like what are the steps? Like, how do I know? Or the universe is ready to give you the abundance that you already are. I'm like, okay, so this is people that are extreme hippies, and I don't know if they actually know how life works, right? Of course, I was wrong. They actually know how life works, and I did not. So, and when you have a very such rigid mind like mine, well, there was no other option for life to break it, of course, painfully. But when I actually met Dr. Bruce Lipton, he explained everything that all of my doubts about all of this energetic world. And since then, I've never started following him. I've been to retreats of him. I've been to conferences of him. He came actually to my podcast as well, and I've read his books. He's one of the base of everything that I teach, and he's just a big light, right? That came to not, I don't think not only to my life, but to a lot of people's life, to put a meaning on in how all of this works in the energy part. And emotions are energy, and the thoughts are also energy, and how are they connected and intertwined with all of our other systems, right? The endocrine system, or hormones, or reactions, or in health, of course. So since then, I've never followed him. I'm a big fan of him, and so I'm basically a very big I'm the translator for the Spanish speakers on what's going on, what are the science or the studies that make that there is that actually give a response for these very skeptical doubts. I love the skeptics. I really do. I love the skeptical mind because I can go there. I understand the language. I was not um blessed with like this faith of like, trust life and God is always with you. Like, no, in my life God did not even exist. So you have to only work hard, and it was his work that crushed all of that.
Yeah, wow, that's so powerful. And so I love that you can speak to skeptics and then also like kind of people who are, very much on their spiritual path. How do you like, what are some of the things that you would tell a skeptic, for the first time? Like, what are some of the big themes that have emerged from those conversations?
Yeah. um I know exactly what they're going to ask, because I was the worst skeptic. Like, I was the leader of the skeptics, and I was like very bad with the questions, and I would go real hard on like the of I mean, I was also angry at life, so I was with this attitude that they owe me these answers. So wrong. And like I very much understand what they're going to ask. Like, what I mostly see is I want a formula that works and prove it to me that will work. And the good thing about the skeptic is that it can appear very tough to break, but it actually takes one belief to break. The moment that you shake one belief, their whole world sort of falls down, because it's like, okay, if I don't if this belief that I thought forever that was the only truth, and I was the only I had, the reason in my hand, and then it's not true, then what else that I'm thinking is not true? And that sort of like opens a door to a much more lighter, better, flexible world, and that's easy. So the skeptics love the small answers that have coherence, that you can say, okay, this specific study says this and this connects with that, and then sort of you create your own conclusion out of this. Like, you're allowed to take your own conclusions out of this. And they love the time. When is this going to work? How many more sessions I have to take? How many more hypnosis I have to make? So, and I have all of that, all of those. I remember the first time I went to a hypnotherapist. I'm like, I see nothing, I feel nothing, so everything black, all black, all black. I see nothing. This is not working. This is BS. This is like nothing. And she was so good. She was like really worried about me, and she made me on audio, like a tape to listen. A tape. I don't know. It was not a tape. For God's sakes, I'm not
Yeah,
we're not that
no.
old. But she made me an audio that she sent me like through WhatsApp. Of course, this was like I don't know, like 8 years ago. And like after the 25th that I listened to the audio, my eating disorder stopped, and I'm like, okay, no, like what happened here? This is black magic. I've been anorexic for 15 years. What the hell happened? So that's where I started to learn and study hypnosis. I'm like, I need to understand how all of this works, and that was amazing, right? Like, it only takes to break one belief to like open up a whole world of trust and faith.
Wow, that's so powerful. I love that you're again like you're bringing in hypnotherapy and Byron Katie's work and the epigenetics part with Bruce Lipton. It just feels like you've got this full spectrum of knowledge around all these topics that fit together. And I think a lot of people just sort of focus on one. So I want to talk a little bit about the Quantum Leap training method, which is your signature training method. And I know we kind of touched on some of the things, but like, how did you develop this, and why did you develop this particular methodology?
Yeah. So this mythology, my teacher of the work of Byron Katie, her name is Laura. She's amazing. She's like a mother to me. And she worked for Byron Katie herself. She was in her staff. And she, of course, Latin, and she was in charge to take this technique, the work, to the high security prisons, because they're mostly Latin, right? They're mostly Spanish speakers. So she will train these prisoners that they were never going to get out. They're like the worst people. or the worst behaviors. Let's just say that. And she started to train all of these people. So she's the one that trained me on the work of Byron Katie way back, like 10 years ago. And I remember the first time that I went there, it took only half session, not even the full session. I could not even finish the session to a complete break of my thoughts and my beliefs or my reality. So I studied with her, and then 10 years, 8 years, 9 years or 8 years happened. I go to all of this. Bruce Lipton, even Bruce Lipton told me, if you're not meditating, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, not only me, he told all of us. And so I'm like instantly went to like a mindfulness retreat there for like 10 days. I fell in love with meditation. And then QuantumQuip happened, this platform, and I was giving like these one-on-one sessions, and I was giving the work of Byron Katie. And a lot of people, and of course I started to like bring in hypnotherapists, and I started to bring in mindfulness, and I started to bring in like all of these tools for the emotions. So at the end, I sort of created with like this baseline of like a mythology that is called quantum leap training, which is how to train to give your attention a quantum leap. Because a real big quantum leap in reality is created by many, many tiny, sometimes big, but a lot of times tiny quantum leaps first in the mind, which is you have to move your attention to a different possibility. You have to move your attention to another thought. You have to move your attention to be the container of your emotion. Like the moment that you are training your attention to do this, where you put your attention, you are going to put all of that creative energy, then you're going to create a different reality. So it's a whole mix between the work of Byron Katie, but also mindfulness. And then I bring in hypnotherapy. So a lot of people were asking me, I want to do what you do. Teach me. I want to do what you do. Teach me. I want to do what you do. Teach me. So it took me a year actually to develop the whole certification. And I do give it with Laura, that she's been, like forming these facilitators of this tool for so long, for like 20 years. So it's a beautiful, it's the training that I would have loved to have, because it includes the right amount of theory, includes a lot of practice. It's actually more practice, because you don't have to have a doctorate degree to be present. You don't. And I think that this emotional awareness, it's a job for all of us. There's not enough psychologists, there's not enough psychiatrists in the world to address all of our emotions. And even moms, right? Moms will have to hold space for difficult emotions for their kids. Friends, we also hold space for difficult emotions. So this is not only a responsibility of doctors or psychologists. I think it's a collective responsibility that we all learn how to process and be present with difficult emotions, and what to do with apocalyptic thoughts, or a really heavy emotion, or from a memory that like sort of activates. That's way better than only looking to a psychologist once a week.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I could not agree with you more. I love that you mentioned that this is the collective responsibility, that it's not just, for therapists, but it's our own responsibility to equip ourselves with emotional regulation and inquiry, so that we can go up and show up as our best selves in our communities, in our families, in our relationships. So I want to also understand a little bit more about maybe the importance of becoming a different version of ourselves. I think you speak about this a little bit. How do you walk people through this different version of self, or maybe even a different identity of self?
Yeah. So the first thing that I say to my clients is, there is nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Your identity is not wrong. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes, neither your successes. And this is important, because the mind will always get attached to a narrative, and especially the narrative that we repeat and repeat and repeat. So if the person believes the narrative that I'm wrong, there's always wrong with me, there's something bad with me repeatedly, and I can't get anything right. I can't do anything right. I'm broken inside. I'm too wounded to have relationship. Then that will become the personality. So when we are talking about a different version of ourselves, we have to be careful to not fall into the conclusions of that comparison. The mind compares. It can't stop it. Like I don't know, sometimes I read these quotes in like social media. It's like, stop comparing. No, you can't do that. You literally cannot stop comparing yourself. What you can do is observe, pause, observe, and investigate the thoughts and conclusions that come out of this comparison. So what I do through my workshops and classes is that I, again, hold the space for all of this information to come up, and together we pause, observe, and observe deep down to all of the consequences, costs, and secondary earnings that of everything that we assume as absolute true from the natural movements of the mind. So the mind has many movements, but four of them is comparison. It can't stop comparing. That's the way it learns. That's the way it makes decisions. It jumps between past and future, and it has to, because it has to put you in a safe space. It only wants your survival. It also loves the what's familiar, so it will attach to what's familiar. This is a way to control. So it will control the environment or other people for you to be safe. So your mind will actually pick what it already knows, even though it's destructive and toxic, than a new thing, or that a new uncertain thing, because with uncertainties many, in a not trained attention, it will come unsafety. And it also saves memory, right? And process all of this memory. And a lot of the memory that we have is not in the mind, of course. It's in that subconscious, and that subconscious involves the nervous system. And the nervous systems, it is manifested through all of the body. So the body actually saves all of the memory. So we can't forget about the body when we are doing all of this work. The body is what is. There's a great book that's called "The Body Keeps the Score." So the body, it's the antenna of integrity and the truth and what's right. So basically that's what we do. Okay, fine that we want to like build a different version of ourselves, but integrating and loving the past versions of ourselves. Because if we're hating ourselves or we're judging ourselves, then we can't build a new one. We can't build a new thing if the content of our thoughts and energy is destructive or hate.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Okay. So I feel like we could just talk for hours and hours. I know we're coming to time. I want to just ask a couple more questions, Mariana. I'm curious, you have built this beautiful platform with 20,000 clients. You've helped so many people. What is your go-to morning practice? Like, how do you ensure that you're taking care of yourself? Like, do you still have practices in the morning, or do you feel like you kind of have done a lot of work in the past and sort of now feel like you don't need to necessarily do as much of a morning practice or nighttime
No,
practice?
no, the more I grow, the more I need. The more I grow, and the more the business expands as well, like the more of course, the more tools I need. The only thing that I've noticed is the speed up to what I return to center. What has better, what has been better is the speed to what I come back to alignment. The speed to what I come back to the body, the speed. That's the only thing. If I before I used to, like, I don't know, hang on into like a conflict or a fight with someone for a year, a month, a day. Now it can last way less. Like it can last minutes or even seconds or even an hour. That's the only thing that I've seen that actually has gone better. And of course that the less reactivity, because you have all of these tools to quickly accommodate what all of these signals or stimulus that are coming into reality. So no, I love tools. I'm a big fan of tools. I love meditation will always be home for me. And there's many types of meditations that I do. I love some days when I feel extremely tired. I don't know. I had a late workshop or I had a long flight. So I would actually do yoga nidra the moment that I wake up. And Yoga Nidra, for the one that who does not know what it is, it's a system to relax and rest the body, but with the attention awake. So it's extremely powerful. 15 to 30 minutes of Yoga Nidra equals 2 hours of intense deep sleep. So it's very, very powerful. Mindfulness, of course, it's what I love the most. I mean, hypnotherapy is I'm always, like I'm always like once a week I do hypnotherapy. I love kirtan, like the singing, the
Yes.
mantra. Right now, like I've been for in kirtan maybe for the past 3 years. I'm very into yoga right now. Yoga has been my root part of my practices in the morning. I just came back from my 200-hour teacher training, and I'm super happy. It really changed me. I do not know why it took me so long to do yoga like this. Um, so so yeah, basically that's what I do.
I love that. Amazing. Amazing. All those things are just so amazing. And we actually spent some time doing some kirtan singing together
Oh yeah,
with Krishna. Was it Krishna Das? I think it was Krishna
yeah,
Das.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Mariana, why do you think that this subject is so important? Like, why have you dedicated your life to it?
It's funny that you asked this. There's many people that sort of receive this calling to serve. I never had that. I never I never received this calling to like be at service. It, it it's going to sound weird, but it's sort of like life told me to. Like I never wanted a platform. I never visualized this as a business. I even when I started, I'm like, no, I still have my own job and my business. Like I'm not going to, because I worked for 15 years in the corporate industry for big companies, and I was very attached to that identity. And then the pandemic hits, and I've been already studying all of this for like, I don't know, 7 years, 6 years. And it's sort of like it happened. Like till today I'm still like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's happening. I don't have big plans. I don't have like a full projection of. I don't even have a CFO of like, telling me exactly where we're going. I'm just allowing it to sort of reveal what mother, for me, God is mother, from what mother wants. And I'm having a lot of fun, and I really enjoy. I wake up every day and I can't believe this is my job, and I love the team that we've built. It's like a family, and we really, really enjoy what we do. And honestly, in Latin America, since it has become a reference, people ask me, how do you do it? I'm like, I just allowed it. But what you allowed? I don't know. I just allowed it. I just every whatever is there, I'm allowing it. If I put a name, a label, if I break it down into a formula, I'm not allowing what it needs to be. So I'm having fun allowing it.
So beautiful. Yeah. I see that. I definitely see
Yeah,
that.
you know that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, Mariana, what sort of things looking back have surprised you the most on this journey?
I remember that I did not want to. I did not want it to open up an Instagram account, because one of my teachers, Dr. Derek O'Neill, he told me that's ego. Be careful, it's a trap. So I'm like, okay, no Instagram, no social media. I don't care. I'm not going to fall into that trap. And one of my friends, which I very much thank her right now, she called me one day. She's like, enough with your story of this is a trap. There's no option. People is craving what of all of these messages that you have. I opened the Instagram account for you. So she opened it, and I'm super grateful for that, and the people that I've met through social media. And I've been that has given me the opportunity to really connect with people, and to know amazing people, and to, like, we don't have to know each other to understand each other in the emotional depth of our lives and the complexity of humanity. And that has given me one of the most rich surprise, I think, of my life. It is way more accessible to connect to that depth and vulnerability even though you don't know the other person. So that has been very sweet.
That's so. I love that genesis story of your Instagram account. It's very different than how people start in Los Angeles. So,
Yeah, no.
I've been coining the term spiritual narcissism in LA, which is a very interesting land, as we both know.
Oh man, if it's already there, in 10 years, it's going to hit Latin America.
Oh, I hope not. I hope
Oh,
not.
that's true.
Oh. So Mariana, what do you want to tell our listeners about their health, wellness, well-being? Like, what's your main takeaway, call to action for those who are listening? What do you want them to do right now or think about right now?
Yeah. So, well, both health and wellness, and also wealth, all of those are a result. It's not something you go buy or get or order from Amazon or do once. It's a result built of many mini actions that you take, and you take. They can be big or small, but you have to take them. And the sum of all of those decisions is what's actually going to create health or wellness or wealth. It's not. It's not an instant that comes and like sort of saves you. It's something that you have to be brutally honest. It's better to be honest than to be spiritual. If you're not being honest, then you're not spiritual. So it's better to be honest and really ask you if you're willing to do what it takes to be responsible of your health, to be the owner of your wellness, and to create the wealth that you say that you want. Because you can say one thing, and then because you don't have it instantly, there's also this thing of attachment to instant things. No, these things are not instant. They take time to build, and you don't want the shortcut, because it's in the process. What's important is the process of developing that. The process is what is going to strengthen your presence, and nothing is more important than how present you are. The presence is what heals. Your presence is what creates. Your presence is what inspires. Your present, you being present, is your life. So why do you want the result and not live the process? The main objective or the main goal should be focus on the process, not the result.
Amazing, amazing. So inspiring to listen to you, Mariana. And I feel super jazzed after this conversation. And so you have an offering now in English and also a ton of offerings in Spanish, like what, 30 or so courses. And so where can people find you? Where can they learn more about you?
Yeah. So in Spanish, it's called QuantumQuip.com in every single platform. And in English, it's called. I just opened it. It's like the first Instagram account that I opened. QuantumQuip.world. So QuantumQuip.world. You're going to find the first class there, which this class has been hosted in Gaia Spanish, which is a very big platform for all of the spiritual nerds. And this class is the energy of money, which is the true the skeptical way of the law of attraction of this money thing that everyone wants to be attractive. So I address all of this from a very, very extremely skeptical mind, and what's all of the science that's there that can actually prove that this works, and how will it work, and what do I need to do to make it work. So it's the formula for the skeptics that
Hmm.
creates a change or a different version of your relationship with money.
I love it. Amazing, amazing. And we'll leave the link in the show notes so that people can find you and find the course. Mariana, thank you
We'll
so
even
much. Oh
we'll
my
even
gosh.
give you a secret discount.
Oh, amazing. Okay, great. So for those listening, we're going to include the discount code for the course just for listeners of this show. So thank you for that generosity, Mariana. Thank you so much for your time. I learned so much from this conversation. I know folks listening in have also learned so much, and just want to thank you for your time.
No, thank you for the invitation. It's really an honor, and for all of the audience that's listening, thank you for your permission.
Amazing. And for our audience, thanks for joining and for listening. In this episode, we learned about how to become self-aware and train your mind for a life of success with Mariana Fresnedo with QuantumQuip. And you could tune into Gateways to Awakening, where we host one-on-one conversations with leading experts in wellness, well-being, and spirituality. Thanks again. What would you like to see change in your life? And what is the biggest obstacle that you're facing now? I run a 5-week program at the Inner Knowing School for serious individuals who are ready to take the next step in their personal and professional lives. I will personally be coaching a small group of individuals, a number of practical tools and frameworks for creating an intuition practice and for self-mastery. You can find more at theinnerknowingschool.com. I have a master's certification in intuition medicine, and I've condensed 10 plus years of experience and research navigating how to harness your energy and intuition in an easy to access live curated course. Now, as someone who's helped countless creatives, entrepreneurs, and many who are just plain stuck, open doors of possibility they never thought existed, I've seen this strategy transform people's inner states and external reality. And the best part is that you'll skyrocket your output and unlock your creative genius. I'll work with you weekly live to overcome your limiting beliefs and show you how to manage your energy instead of your time. I'll teach you how to create clarity, processes, develop your intuition based on some of the top tools and frameworks that I've developed, and you'll get access to guided meditations and visualizations not available anywhere else. This method is so effective that even if you don't have that much time, or if you think that you might not be ready, this will work for you. You can check out the link in the show notes to join the waiting list, and you can check out what past clients had to say about the program. Wishing you all many blessings ahead.